so high, it needed clearance from NASA. It's John Doe Radio.
Live.
Howdy. Hope everybody's doing fantastic today. Hope you're staying warm. Because you know it is cold outside. It definitely be cold outside. Feels like I'm yelling. Am I yelling at you guys? Is it loud? Is the mic super, super loud? Looked like it was loud there for a second. Ooh. Man, it's dark in here. Hold on. Let me turn up the light a little bit. Now I'm red. Fantastic. I got the heater on in here, so we'll see how long we keep that on. It's annoying as shit to listen to the goddamn heater with this set of headphones on. And I could turn the headphones off, the ambient sound off, but then I can't hear myself. We might turn the heater off here in a second. I'll probably get hot enough to where it's frying in here anyway. It's usually what ends up happening. Reposition the camera down just a little bit. All right. Anyway, hopefully you guys are having a fantastic day. It is a Monday here in the Mile High City. If you didn't hear, here just now, we got our song back. Big thanks to Goose. You are the man, Scott. Appreciate you. Goose is the artist of that song, and we have used that song since for a long time here. It's one of my favorite tunes, one of the only tunes that I've listened to over and over and over and over, and it just never gets old, which is cool. And I guess we're really important if you have a theme song. So big thanks to Scott. I appreciate you. Goose, make sure you guys, it's not just this song. I'll play other tunes here on JDR. We got permission for the whole catalog, and I want to highlight, I think I'm going to have to rebalance that song too. It was a little bit lower. Old school production. We have to take the wave file and high quality wave file and re-rip it. Anyway, he's got a ton of other great music that you should check out. Goose, Goose. YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, all that good stuff. Support good artists, and support people that support other independents. You know what I'm saying? Especially the artists. Here on Twitch, that's another thing. I know it's probably going to get dinged, and then I'm going to have to say, hey, we got permission. So I'm interested to see what happens once we upload this Mamma Jamma to YouTube. And then what happens on Twitch. So I'm really interested. I was excited to play it first thing today because I want to see what happens with that. And in the future, when we get permission with stuff, how you go about getting that DMCA claim or whatever addressed. So it's it really is a scary process when it comes down to it. So especially when, it's companies that are sort of working with it's artists working with an overreaching, company, and it's even less personal than it is at other times when it's a larger, it can be less personal through kind of an umbrella, catch-all type situation, which I think Goose is a part of. Other things probably cost an incredible amount of money, to have something more personalized and contacting the reps and the company and saying, hey, this is the permission I have, and then going back and forth. A lot more man hours than that. So anyway, we got cannabis news to get to today. I got to turn off the heater thing because this is just, it's annoying me. I guess if it gets 20 degrees in here, it doesn't really matter. You know, there is very distinct fact that I just could be annoying myself today too, which is another really key moment or key thing I have to remember through this podcast. Just because I'm annoyed doesn't mean that you guys are annoyed, or I should drag you down with me. This cold has been just frustrating as shit. And it's like really the dryness has jacked up the sinuses, so it's just fighting off a headache all weekend. It's been draining. All right, let's get to cannabis news. Also, big thanks to Get Seeds Right Here, getseedsrighthere.com, where you can find a fantastic selection of reliable seeds from a reliable source. Always expanding, different strains, and fantastic choices for you to go with in a time where it is very, very, very hard to select trustworthy seed sources and get seeds and strains, lineage that you want and that you rely on for. So many things came to my mind then, you know, for your business and for your personal awesomeness. You want to have that peace of mind. So you want to go with people that are close to the source. One-off type situations. I know the guy, the seed grower, that type of stuff. Get Seeds Right Here. They'll handle it for you. GetSeedsRightHere.com. Also, if you guys, a game capture, wishful thinking there. Also, if you guys get a chance and you would like to, and you missed the show, you can head to youtube.com/JohnDoeRadio, and there is our archive and all that stuff. So everything is up there. And I came up with this cool idea. This is a really cool idea. Hold on, let me write this down real quick. I didn't just come up with it now, okay? I just want to preview what we're going to get to today. All right. Not a ton of news today, but, you know, we can do our thing. We can have fun with what we have. This story I just saw. I was going to pull this up. We'll see what happens with this one. I might get to this one towards the end. It's about a new DEA survey that's talking about CBD usage and other stuff when it comes to the application for DEA agents. Also, just remember, let me do a quick production check here real quick. All right. I apologize. It'll help me feel a little bit more at ease. 1, 2, check. 1, 2. I apologize. It'll help me feel a little bit more. All right, we're good. Like Inception of the JDR. The voice beyond the voice that's beyond the voice. Beyond the voice. We might talk about that. We'll probably talk about that because there's not a lot else to talk about today. And I'm going to try and stay focused on the facts because I don't think a whole lot of what I'm going to say on the side is going to make too much of sense today. This interesting story came out yesterday. The oldest beer factory has been unearthed in Cairo. I wouldn't usually follow a alcohol story. In fact, probably would stay away from an alcohol story more than anything, but this obviously having to do with history and the history and early counterculture wanting to get farked up. I was trying to think of an awesome way to say that, but we'll just drag it in the gutter again. Early ways of getting farked up are cool to learn about. So this is pretty cool here too. Something interesting about this also is that we knew about this site long ago. The British knew about this site long ago, and then it kind of got lost in time. So very cool thing. It's also interesting to think about, and maybe we'll do the math here in a minute because I haven't done the math and look up some of the information with this, but how it compares to the same time that ancient cannabis has been found, in ancient Chinese burial tombs in Japan, etc. So it's cool. Something interesting. I thought you might be interested with it too. Also, something else this weekend. I think Friday it was that Elon Musk was on Joe Rogan. A story came up about Elon Musk thinking CBD is fake. Now, if you know Elon Musk much, you know that he's a pretty big troll when it comes down to it. You also know that he's a pretty smart guy. So to think that he would, think that CBD is bullshit or not really too much beyond it. Maybe that's just me thinking too much of... Maybe that's putting like Elon in places where he's not necessarily plugged in or knowledgeable about. All right, it never ceases to amaze me how silly and uneducated some of the ideas are out there, even with some of the most experienced people. And as we'll hear in a second here, there's some things that Joe Rogan runs with, and unfortunately it helps contribute to the stuff we pushed here a lot on JDR, and that is the whole everybody reacts different to cannabis, and everybody reacts differently to CBD. Anyway, I clipped the audio from this interview, and we'll get to that here in a minute. And maybe I'm being too silly about it. Maybe I'm being... no, I'm not. I'm not. Enough of that talk. Enough of that conversation. I am absolutely not being too silly. And then New Mexico. We're going to talk probably later this week because we may be done with the show by the time that New Mexico lawmakers vote on this bill. So, but Mr. Love, who has done a podcast in New Mexico for a while, we used to talk with him here on JDR like once a week. He's been plugged in, been a caregiver himself for a long time out there in New Mexico, and it'd be cool to connect again with him. And that's something else I'm trying to do here at the beginning, is connect with people that we've talked to before, like Adam Dunn. I have him lined up. Hopefully we can get him sometime later this week. Shiloh Massive. I have Shiloh lined up probably next week sometime. So it'll be really cool. And these are all people that we've talked with before and had good relationships with and brought some really cool new ideas forward. So it'll be cool. I already messaged a few friends and said, hey, homie's coming back on. If you'd like to ask any questions or address anything, make sure you holler at me or be in the chat. Also a possibility on some of these things that, since we're popping off at like 10 o'clock in the morning, what is it, like 9 o'clock in Cali, and maybe a little early for some of these things. So either we can go live at other times when other people are not available, or I hate to have a recorded, especially when there's people here. It wouldn't really matter too much. It would matter less the less people are here. but having a recorded conversation and then playing that with you guys here, like, all right, now we get to so-and-so, so-and-so. I mean, not really that big of a deal, but, you know, live questions and stuff like that, especially with cannabis things and learning and discussions. It's not like a sit and listen lecture type thing, generally, in those situations. It's more of a ask questions format. So I hate to take that away. Wishful thinking of having people wanting to ask questions, but that's how you gotta be. And then an FAA memo on marijuana emerges amid local airport controversy in Arizona. Some random things. So I don't even really know what this is about. I did not get to this story, but we're gonna read it. And then the DEA story that we had earlier. Oh yeah, what was I gonna say? Look at that, we wrote it down. Okay, cool. Now we're barely 20 minutes in. I got 30 minutes in, 20 minutes in. I got to use the restroom again. So something cool that I'm gonna do with the YouTube is I'm going to, a lot of the old shows and the things that we did on JDR talked about were either very timely or not timely at all. So a lot of that stuff, which is news like we're talking right now, that might be important, and it's shitty to say and hard to say that they're not important news stories, or that's not important to be on the record in history, or that 20 years down the road, 30 years down the road, 50, 100, 1,000 years down the road, some alien could not learn something from that. But really, the interviews with the people and them having access to that easily, maybe some people that heard those interviews having access to them again, and then being able to kind of remember something or go back and enjoy it. It's silly that they aren't up, so I'm starting to go through those. It takes a ton of time because I didn't do the best job in many situations of labeling everything. So there's a lot of, you know, skipping through shows and just sitting down listening to it. So we'll get to that, and I'm still kind of trying to decide on how I would do it. Like if it's going to be just a singular interview uploaded, which is how it'll probably be. You know, I'll list the date, who it was, and then just toss that Mama Jamma up with JDR logo in the background. I thought about launching them all in chunks, but that only makes sense, I guess, if there's like 10 million people visiting the JDR YouTube page, and a lot of those, like if it's 10 at a time, 5 at a time, even 3 at a time, you know, the ability for those to get this shit's gonna get lost in the fold if that happens. So we just do it one at a time. Plus, you get a bigger bang for our buck that way. I have to start thinking more about that type of thing. Thinking more about where to place the show, advertise, etc. Because my social media links are flat, done. Feeling pretty good. I'm feeling a little bit better here. This is legit the only thing I think I enjoy. I can't even play games anymore and have fun that way. What does it mean when you hate yourself so much that you can't even enjoy things? All right, I'll be right back. I gotta use the restroom real quick. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with me. And we get to some stories here real quick. And then that audio. We're gonna see what happens with that audio, too. These are the things we have to try. It would suck if we got 10K Andy and then got clapped by Joe Rogan interview because it was about weed. We should have been able to cover it, but we couldn't. Yeah. We got to learn. All right, I'll be right back.
Live.
All right. All right. Let's get to this news, baby. This cam, man, like I had it off red and then all of a sudden it's red again. How does that happen? All right, let's talk about this. Display. Did someone bounce static tech smoking on some clear melt? Wait, did someone bounce static tech smoking on some clear melt, clear dome, fire OG kush? Not quite sure what you're talking about there, 428 GTO, but you know. It sounds like you're smoking something good. Oh, shit. Look at that, dude. Look at this right here. Display, second display capture. This right here. First, get seeds right here. You got it. Got it. He got it. He got it. Makes me happy. Thank you for that resub. Appreciate you. Friends of Fastfall, thank you. Wait, that was from 3 days ago. Why isn't it telling me you continued the gift sub in my reload overlay? It's not telling me in my activity feed that you continued your sub. That's kind of weird. Let me check something here real quick on this. Since we can right now. All right, trying to do. That's weird. How come that doesn't come through my ear when I don't hear the alert. I know it's playing, and I know you guys probably hear it, but like I don't hear it, which is strange, but whatever. Whatever, man. American and Egyptian archaeologists have unearthed. American and Egyptian archaeologists have unearthed. I haven't said probably 2 words all weekend, so give me a break here. We flipped the switch, and you know, the beginning of the shows, beginning of stories used to be the proud moments, but you know, it's just like it's negative 20 degrees outside. It may take your engine to get going. All right. Put some respect on it. American and Egyptian archaeologists have unearthed what could be the oldest known beer factory at one of the most prominent archaeological sites of ancient Egypt. A top antiquities official said Saturday. Mustafa Waziri, Secretary General of the Supreme Council of Antiquities, said the factory was found in Abydos, an ancient burial ground located in the desert west of the Nile River, over 280 miles south of Cairo. He said the factory apparently dates back to the region of King Narmer, who is widely known for his unification of ancient Egypt at the beginning of the first dynastic period, 3150 BC to 2613 BC. You know what? Hold on here a second. Let me... Oldest cannabis. All right. 2,500 years ago. What would that make it? 500 BC. Man, the beer is a lot. The beer is a lot older. Holy shit! Holy shit! So, god dang. Beer predates cannabis at the earliest found by 2,000 years. God damn. I guess in the scheme of time, that's really not that big of a number. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's still pretty interesting. For some reason, when I first saw these numbers, I thought it was a lot closer, but that's because I suck at math. Archaeologists found 8 huge units, giggity, each about 65 feet long and 8 feet wide. Each unit includes some 40 pottery basins in 2 rows, which had been used to heat up a mixture of grains and water to produce beer. That's really cool. A joint mission is co-chaired by Dr. Matthew Adams of the Institute of Fine Arts, New York University, and Deborah Vischak, assistant professor of ancient Egyptian art history and archaeology at Princeton University. Adams said the factory was apparently built in this area to provide royal rituals with beer, given that archaeologists found evidence showing the use of beer in sacrificial rites of ancient Egyptians. You know, really, I think what it comes down to sometimes is that people just want to get effed up. It's really what, no, just kidding. That's really simplifying it. Hold on, let me turn this saturation down. God damn it. There. I look more pale than that. There. I look good now. I look more close to what I look in reality, I think. Okay, that's good. Better. With that thing what we just read, beer and sacrificial rites of ancient Egyptians. It goes hand in hand with it's God damn it, I hate you, John Doe. You're such a dick. So it goes hand in hand with the fact that humans, since the very beginning of time till now, have searched for a higher state of happiness through one drug or another, whatever was available during the time that they were around. And during all throughout history, there has been people searching consistently far and wide for ways to get farked up. And, you know, that's a dumb way to put it. It's not really ways to get farked up. That is true, but also to be enlightened and to... We had another one of those in my muted moments. You know damn well you're not muted, John Doe. But that pursuit of happiness and the ability to put yourself in a place somewhere else than where you currently are, while being currently where you are. I mean, it's just something that comes with humans, and it comes with, in my opinion, the pursuit of happiness and the pursuit of, you know, a higher understanding, whether it be a religious or it be a, what's the right word for it? Metaphysical type sense, a spiritual sense. Learning more about ourselves. The way that I feel this way about drugs in history the same way that I do about mushrooms. So, in my opinion, mushrooms, the legalization of it can help reprogram the brain. Just mushrooms in general, not the legalization of it. But as we move forward in time, I think that we find more and more drugs and we find more and more processes to help us deal with the damages that, you know, we've come to in life, and then unlock better ways to understand those and better ways to process it. And then on top of that, through the AI and other bullshit that gets attached to us, like Elon's going to do, you know, there's ways that way. Anyway, through a natural means, you know, I'm a firm believer that cannabis can help you reprogram your brain, and how it can help you guide you to places that you normally wouldn't be able to on your own. Maybe with a guide, maybe by yourself. And possibly to a lesser extent of, you know, what I'm exactly sure on is that I feel mushrooms and psychedelics are part of that blueprint that is our evolution. And it is part of, we've ripped that piece of blueprint out, and it no longer exists in who we are, and no longer exists in our process and in our thinking on a accepted level. To think that, you know, people are not tripping balls and getting high and whatever to expand their brain to be creative and think of shit. I mean, that's just crazy. But, you know, it's like kids today. They don't give a shit if someone's different. In fact, they celebrate difference. So it's the same thing when it comes down to thinking of awesome ideas and encouraging those awesome ideas and encouraging the means of getting those ideas. That's another important part of the step also in unlocking everything and unlocking every possibility that can be, or every possibility that we at least can reach and can unlock through people. I don't know if that makes sense, but to me, it makes a lot of sense. It's a theory. I mean, it's something that I think, it's not just my theory. It's a lot of information that I've gathered from people that are incredibly smarter than me, and things that I've been incredibly interested, and then put it in together on my own. This is another reason why we should do a show in the afternoon. On days where the funniness and being silly are shaky, and we doubt ourselves the most, usually in the afternoon, we do a lot better. Then again, Bike told me to shut the fuck up, that we do fine. It's funny. And this is probably the downfall in times like this when I bitch about it. If you guys knew how frustrated and how goddamn pissed off I am about everything right now, you'd be like, wow, he's really putting on a good show. Just want you to succeed. I want myself to succeed. And I want everybody to have fun. I want the world to be a happy-go-lucky place. Like, oh no, he's losing it. Where are we at? Who had 53 minutes in the broadcast? Bike has control of the predictions. I don't know who else does. All right, back to this story about ancient beer. Let's not get tripped up by a trippy psychedelic talk again. This freaking ad right here. Let's see here. There we go. All right. British archaeologists were first to mention the existence of the factory in the early 1900s, as I mentioned. They couldn't determine its location, the Antiquities Ministry said. They lost it. So they found it, and then they lost it. So we've really known about this since the early 1900s. It's really kind of crazy to think about. But then it's not so crazy to think about. We always find older things all the time. With its vast cemeteries and temples from the earliest times of ancient Egypt, Abydos was known for monuments honoring Osiris, ancient Egypt's god of the underworld and deity responsible for judging souls in the afterlife. You remember those kids that used to wear Osiris? I mean, I guess I might be showing my age here. 37, back in high school, kids used to wear Skechers, and then Osiris was another one of them. Osiris, they were like putting your foot in like a blown up shoe. Like literally, it was like had air and a puffy pillow in it. I remember this one kid, skater kid, and he wore these Osiris shoes, and like the laces were so loose that, I mean, at the top rung of the laces, it was like they were right there, ready to be pulled out. Like the end of the lace where it's tied, just hung there. Dude would skateboard like that everywhere. How did he not break his ankle? The magic of the Osiris shoes. The necropolis has been used in every period of early ancient Egyptian history, from the prehistoric age to the Roman times. Egypt has announced dozens of ancient discoveries in the past couple of years in the hope of attracting more tourists. The tourism industry has been reeling from political turmoil following the 2011 uprising that toppled longtime autocrat Hosni Mubarak. Hosni Mubarak. The sector, I'm doing decent with names today, and the rest of it is just fumble. The sector was also dealt a further blow last year by the coronavirus pandemic. True story. When has coronavirus not dealt a blow in the past year? Where's my audio file for this? Maybe I shouldn't show the desktop exactly. I don't think there's anything there. Thought I had this file up. I guess I didn't. Idiot. I was gonna put it on a button, but then I realized I couldn't pause it yet, and I couldn't figure out how to do that. So we'll learn. We'll learn. I titled this Elon Rogan. Oh, this is gonna be loud. Hold on.
CBD's legal here.
CBD.
Yeah.
CBD doesn't do anything, does it? I think that's fake.
Well, it does. That definitely does something for inflammation.
It does.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, how much CBD do you have to have before you notice it?
Well, physically or
Yeah.
Physically,
crazy,
you don't
Lab?
have to have a lot. Physically, CBD works great for people with arthritis and people
right.
with CBD's legal here.
Let me shut the music up. I don't feel confident enough with my production of having the bed. The bed sounds way too loud. Actually, you know what? Might help to have the bed in there. We'll just turn it down to 1. All right. So basically with this story, as many of you know, Elon Musk is on Joe Rogan this past Friday. And something he brought up that was pretty surprising to me, CBD was fake. Obviously goes more than just what that headline is. So we'll give you this. And then I also thought it was a good opportunity to ramble on about how everybody reacts differently to cannabis, etc. Blah, blah, blah. Yada, yada, yada.
CBD's legal here.
CBD.
Yeah.
CBD doesn't do anything, does it?
No.
I think that's fake.
Well, it does. It definitely does something.
See, it is funny. He goes,
does it?
No.
the Joe goes, no. And then kind of catches himself. But I don't know if he was saying no to the opposite. Anyway.
I think that's fake.
Well, it does. It definitely does something for inflammation.
It does.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, how much CBD do you have to have before you notice it?
Well, physically or
Yeah.
Physically you don't have to have a lot.
So I think what Elon's noticing here in this situation is that, man, if I would have had the audio file in Audition, it would have been better, because then we would have been able to see the audio file wave instead of me just talking. All right, we learn. Anyway, here's the deal with CBD. CBD is effective for mostly everybody. It really is. There are a lot of things that are effective for us or can help us that we don't necessarily know are affecting or helping us, like your vitamins. Not comparing necessarily CBD to your vitamins, but it could be. We always looking for that high when it comes to drugs, and this is not one of those situations where you're going to feel high from it. Most people don't. Some people do feel a pretty a sense of pretty good elevation. But here's the thing. It's not like that with everybody. Not everybody's going to feel anything from it. And a large portion of people are really not going to feel anything. Another thing that he mentioned right here, high dosage. What was the exact thing he said here?
Physically or
Yeah.
yeah, physically you don't have to have a lot. Physically, CBD works great for people with arthritis and people with like sore muscles and things like that. Cheers.
Sure.
So I am still not sold on the fact that CBD is the best used at low dosages. I don't think that CBD personally is something alone that should be taken in super low doses if you're using it for something that is a physical ailment. Obviously, and here's what I'm referring to low dosage as. Depending on who you are, a low dosage could be a wide varying number, a very, very wide varying number. Could be anything from, I would say, let's see here. 50 milligrams CBD for somebody could possibly be a high dosage. It just depends. But that's only, in my opinion, in a situation to where that person would feel incredibly uncomfortable, or there would be some sort of mental block that would throw them sideways with that. But for someone that doesn't necessarily feel CBD every day, those high dosages, say 1,000 milligrams or more, are going to be something that you want to investigate taking and see if that's something CBD alone will help you with. You're getting the effects that you want. If you're not getting the effects at low dosages, that's where you should go with it. There's a lot of snake oil sales in cannabis. There's a lot of snake oil sales in CBD. And Joe really pitches into it quite heavily here. And it's important to be educated. The reason why CBD doesn't necessarily work in everybody is because everybody's endocannabinoid system reacts differently to the cannabinoids and the terpenes that are included with it. The combination of CBD with other cannabinoids is also something that's extremely important too. So some of the studies that we see that are combinations of cannabinoids and terpenes that are just flower in general, we have to be careful that we're not cherry picking those studies, just as the drug warriors are cherry picking bad information from this study, this study, this study. We have to be careful that we're not taking the CBD info from full flower, the CBD info from just CBD flower, and applying that to simply CBD extracts as a whole. Because we're going to get different numbers, and we're going to get different data from those situations. So I guess ultimately what I'm trying to get to is where I'm stepping lightly and sounding foolish here and silly. My caution for being miseducated and spreading misinformation and believing the word of mouth reactions and the word of mouth fixes that people get from cannabis, and particularly CBD. To me, some of this shit seems bullshit. It really does. But at the same time, to say, I think that that's bullshit. I also think of somebody taking 10, 20 milligrams of THC and getting blasted, with an edible. And I thought that was bullshit bonkers for the longest time also. It's just wishful thinking that I could get high off of that small amount. But maybe it's just that of pushing that off, But also at the same time, THC and CBD, THC being psychoactive and you being able to handle that on a psychoactive level and on a mental level is different than you taking a substance for a fix on a different level. You maybe should be taking more CBD than what some people are, and they may be getting that positive reaction from it, but they may also be overblowing it and getting that placebo effect times 10 also. So the other thing I was going to mention, CBD being effective, is if your endocannabinoid system is lacking, if you haven't used a lot of cannabinoids, or you have a specific chemistry for your endocannabinoid system. Generally, though, I think from the research that I've done and the people I've talked to, CBD is effective for people most that have not used cannabis really in their life. And then the CBD use they use is generally, they build up a tolerance fairly quick for the effectiveness that the CBD is. So it's a very quick increasing dosage on people that, just come out of nowhere and they're like, man, I've run out of options. I'd like to try this out. And they try that out. Never used cannabis before in their life. A percentage of those people come back and say, hey, this has been very effective. But then they will also come back at a later date and said, hey, very quickly that went away. So there's a part there that makes me believe that there is something that you should be taking with CBD at high dosages, and then also expect that you're really not going to feel a whole lot from it. Maybe in the short term, something that maybe in the long term, or one of those things, health things that you don't feel, but it's still doing good for you. I hope that made sense. I really do. Like, I'm in the middle of that. I was like, we're gonna get good someday. We're gonna be good, John Doe. That's what I told myself. Back to this.
Yeah, no, CBD definitely works for that. But as far as like psychoactive effects, not much. It relieves anxiety for people.
Okay.
And then the other thing that bugged me about this was that the all-inclusiveness of it. Like it has to be put into conversation and put into education that cannabis doesn't affect everybody the same way. It's very, very, very important, because once people start to understand that and realize that, the effects of cannabis taken more seriously, and people think about these things more and more, because the way that it is right now, it's like you put 10 people in a room and ask them the difference between certain strains or indica sativa. Number one, they generally aren't going to be able to tell you. And two, having the information, having everything. God, and I explained something there, and it, been a few times where you just can't not explain the words. Can't explain it. It would help to have someone else to talk shit to for a second here and get refocused and then go back to it. I need a producer. God damn it. person sits here and listens to somebody say, hey, look, the cannabis does this to me. And then they go and smoke the same cannabis, and it doesn't do that to them. In fact, it does the exact opposite. That person not going to believe shit, or it just contributes, at very best, contributes to the continued dullness of our education and understanding of cannabis and its effects, you know? And eventually the labs will figure that all out and they'll do it. But there are ways now we should do it. And who knows when those labs will figure that out. But for us to do better, and for your company to do better as a whole, to be responsible to the industry, to be responsible in what we're doing, it's extremely important that we point out these differences. All right, anyway, beating a dead horse.
It helps people sleep, especially when it's combined with things like melatonin, you know, things along those lines.
I mean, of course it helps you sleep when combined with melatonin, because melatonin pretty much knocks most people out, period.
But it doesn't get you high.
Yeah.
No.
It's-
But people that do mix CBD with THC for muscle creams, though, and that doesn't get you high either, but it increases the effectiveness.
okay.
Yeah, there's some creams that are really good that people like that have
Okay.
THC and CBD in it.
All right. So you like have like
And he's getting closer there. He's getting a little bit better with. He hits something there that he should go on more, but he doesn't understand it, and it's clear he doesn't really understand it and doesn't care to understand it. Is the problem? Is the main problem? He just doesn't care, and that's really the other big problem too with all this, is that, like, I'm fighting an uphill battle, and I'm fighting a battle that really nobody gives a shit about. And when I say nobody, I don't mean nobody. I mean the general masses. Companies and custies don't give a shit about this, okay? For the way that Joe Rogan's talking about this and reacting is the way that, you know, the most interested person reacts to this information and this topic. It's just like something that is a matter of fact. Everybody's an expert on this. And it's just not that important, you know? I don't know how else to put it. It's such a silly thing. And the companies see that the customers just, they don't really give a shit too much. And instead of taking their responsibility, which would take a huge effort. And I've seen it because I've tried to implement it. I've tried to do the things that we're talking about right now in stores, and there's a small percentage that it works in, and it's something that has to be continually operated. It's something that has to be set up in every store and in every processor, because it also starts at the processing level and the grow level of educating the people that are there, you know? Maybe not necessarily the growers as much. Generally, the growers do their own thing. And in the good, successful companies, the growers are already plugged into information sources before they get there, and then while they're there are working for good people. The grow side of things is a different monster in the cannabis industry. All right, that side is taking care of itself pretty well, and I kind of like eat my words when I say that. It has sheltered itself very well, I should say, with its own culture and inside of our industry becoming its own industry. It's a funky thing. The crossover between grows and the retail side of cannabis is, even though they're like side by side, they're very separated. And in saying that they've done well, I mean, I was thinking of a very specific few. I don't know how to spin that to make it sound better. They haven't done well. The fact that quality, etc. So, Mike claims that cookies here in Colorado is the best weed there is in a dispensary. So I'll trust his word on that. We have very different opinions on quality of weed really how it's grown. I think when it comes down to it, Bike's way more into, and a lot of people way more into naturally grown. And some would say, you know, I'd be more into the salt grown. It's not a bad thing. Either side, you know, if you grow both well, they can both be incredibly fantastic products. But it is that taste and flavor, set and setting. Oils have a lot to do. Those differences, the oils that you get from a natural grow, organic grow, quote unquote, than from what you get with a salt grow. It's a different combination of oils. It is definitely. I would say organic grows do not belong in the concentrate production category, but you know, whatever. I'm going to get hate for that. But for flour, yeah.
Sunscreen or something, and then, I mean, why not? Just throw it in there, you know?
Why not? Yeah. Well, it's great for soreness.
You just smell like weed all day.
Yeah, it doesn't smell like weed, though.
It doesn't? Okay.
No. Some of it does, though.
Some of it.
Like, what is Joe talking about here? That some of the CBD doesn't smell like weed. Is he talking about here's the thing, is he's talking about the extract that doesn't smell like weed. That I can buy. The CBD flower, when you smoke it, smells like weed. May not smell the most potent of dank weeds. And some of it, depending on the hemp you're smoking, I don't mean that derogatory, may have a burnt plant leaf, but it still smells like weed. That's just silly.
That's the thing about anything that's unregulated, right? Like hippies are making it. That's always the problem.
Your quality control.
Yeah, no quality control. That's the problem with edibles. You know, they're made by a bunch of crazy people. Cooking them up in some, you know, Chula Vista apartment somewhere. You really don't know what's in there.
See,
CBD.
And that does suck that he mentions that, because he's talking about California there, and I guess I'm the deuce here that is talking out of my ass, and he's really speaking probably for the majority of people that don't have access to regulated industry and regulated edibles, and he's probably right that a majority of people are eating edibles that are made out of somebody's apartment. Goddamn hippie. I'd like to think that that is not the case, but you know, that's probably pretty heavy wishful thinking. Oh no, he's right. But it just makes me cringe when I hear shit like that. It makes me cringe to take steps backwards in view, education, etc. It sucks. I mean, it sucks that when California, the examples of California set come in to play, which is where he's going right there from that. The crazy thing is he's in Texas now, isn't he? Like, yeah, Rogan, who relocated his podcast headquarters from California to Texas last year, noted his new home state has not legalized marijuana yet. He's lived in Colorado. He lived in Boulder. I guess I can't expect too much from Rogan. I listened to Joe Rogan for a long time. And I think he's a great comedian. I think his interviews are pretty interesting. But the frustrating thing with Joe Rogan is why I stopped listening to him was because as more and more interviews I got into with people that I thought had fantastic, amazing ideas and discussed these fantastic, amazing ideas with him, that he was just such a failure at interviewing people and taking these ideas and running with them, expanding on someone on a personal level, even, you know, if you're not going to take and run these ideas, and just like conforming and catering to the interview on a for lack of a better term, dumb jock level. And I hate to say that because I don't like to pinhole people and put that. You know, I don't take the nerd and jock side ever, but in frustration I say that. And it sucks because it's like he could say one thing and then turn around on another guest and it's a whole nother thing. And it's just like, there's no real smart discussion with him. Very rarely. All right, I got to take a pee again. I'll be right back. It's the JDR. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. But I got loud, sorry. Back with it. Let's take a dab. I think I've been, I think I've been depressed as shit all weekend and it's turned into frustration now. I hate feeling like everything's fucked. Like I hate everything. I hate that feeling. This has been a new feeling that's come back after Pops passed away. Anyway, I've been able to shake this shit off for the past couple of days. I feel like it's affecting the show, but really it's not if I just didn't think about it. You just get sick of the destructive feelings at a certain point. Destructive is a strong word, but the frustration, the depression, the anxiety, the anger, more and more people have felt over the past year and a half. That shit's rough. $11.11. Sending the good juju out there. It's weird how we were talking about that and all of a sudden look down. It's 11:11. I've never in a million years of my existence in time and space. I don't know why I said in a million years. I've never had an issue digging deep and doing shows and reading and having fun with it. Ever. until this lead up, till now. And to say that when you go to dig in the bag for something that's never been an issue, been a talent of yours, and have that like door open up and nothing there is crazy. It's crazy. You're like, yeah. All right. I was gonna see if I could get a hold of. We'll talk with him tomorrow about it. That's what we'll do. Mr. Love. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna message him real quick. Because I'm just gonna do what I feel like I'm gonna do right now. Can you get on Discord in the next 20 minutes? 30. We'll see what he has to say. Because I would like to have somebody else on the show, not just for the simple fact of it would be cool to have another person on the show, but having someone from the story we're doing right now would make a whole hell of a lot of sense. Where's my invite? There it is. Never. Copy. He sees it, I think. All right. I'm in. Cuckoo. He said he needs a little bit more time. Cuckoo, let's do it after the vote. Wait. All right, I don't need to be in this live channel then. Oh shit. I just seen Bike's new puppy we're gonna be getting. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Let's go to the look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Who? What do you mean, who? Look at this, papas. This is your face. Oh, this is a cute face. Oh, this is a cute face. Oh, this is a cute face. Look at them claws. Shing, shing, shing. All right, New Mexico. New Mexico lawmakers on Saturday considered a pair of competing bills to legalize marijuana. Another am I muted moment. Why do I keep doing that? Legalize marijuana, but failed to hold a vote after the hearing ran long. The committee will return to issue on Monday when members are also expected to take up possible amendments to the proposal. Lawmakers have introduced a bevy of legislation. Got tied up by the bevy. a bevy of legalization legislation so far in the state's 2021 legislative session, which is approaching its midpoint and is scheduled to end on March 20th. In addition to the two House measures weighted at Saturday's 3-hour-long Health and Human Service Committee hearing, 3 others have been filed in the Senate. All 5 bills would legalize use and commercial sales of marijuana and set tax rates between 16 and 20%. Of the 2 House proposals, the most comprehensive is House Bill 12, which stretches nearly 200 pages. What? What the fuck is that 200 pages in it for? Hold on here. 200 pages. We know that the war on drugs has been an utter failure, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Same shiz they always say. His bill would legalize cannabis for adults 21 and older, allow home cultivation for marijuana, regulate and tax commercial industry, and expunge past convictions for cannabis possession. Tax revenue would fund equity programs for black and brown communities and support low-income medical marijuana patients. It's the preferred bill of advocates. Where did my volume go? Whatever. That bill, legalizing cannabis, blah, 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 what we just read is the preferred bill and other organizations of the DPA, Drug Policy Alliance, because of the emphasis it places on social equity efforts to help communities that had been harmed by the war on drugs. Emily Kaltenbach, DPA's Senior Director of Resident States and New Mexico, told Marijuana Moment that Saturday's hearing was a good sign for legalization in general. It shows that legalization will move forward in New Mexico. The other thing that's positive that came out of the committee was the social equity and justice were front and center. Both from legislators and the public reiterated how important it is for provisions to be included in whatever bill moves forward. The second legalization proposal the panel considered was House Bill 17, a narrower bill supported by the New Mexico Cannabis Chamber of Commerce and other industry members. It would legalize commercial cannabis and set a 20% flat sales tax, which would fund state and local governments. Sponsor Tara Lujan described the bill as the most direct route to a responsible way of legalizing cannabis for people over 21. The bill lacks the expungement and social equity measures that House Bill 12 has, and only decriminalizes homegrown. Growing up to 3 plants would carry a $500 fine, while growing more would remain a felony. Commercial production licenses would be limited, whereas House Bill 12 would forbid the state from capping production. Ben Lewinger, executive director of NMCCC, warned lawmakers against trying to accomplish too much in a single bill. Man, I haven't really understood anything that I've said here in the past few paragraphs. I hope you had. Trying to focus on one thing. Almost impossible right now for me. Comprehension at its very limited. Still, though, I want to go back and look at that 200-page bill. That's what drove the approach of trying to include what is absolutely essential into a bill with the very simple purpose of legalizing adult-use cannabis, protecting patients in the medical program, and creating something that has the absolute best chance of making it to the governor's desk. Lewinger said, the industry as it exists now in New Mexico are the experts in the state on the business of cannabis. Kaltenbach at the DPA, meanwhile, said House Bill 12 is a better bill. What was clear today is that House Bill 12 is the most robust bill that is widely supported. It'll come down to a few provisions here and there, but it's pretty clear that House Bill 12 should be the vehicle in which this should move. During the question and answer portion of Saturday's hearing, the industry representative also argued against allowing people to grow their own marijuana, saying that law enforcement would have difficulty ensuring people weren't cultivating too many plants or selling their products into the illegal market. Both bills would eliminate taxes for patients in the state's existing medical program. Fiscal numbers as we said, we're not going to pay attention to that shit they try to come up with. They're going to come up with these numbers to see if the program supports itself. And in that sense, I guess the numbers are important. But other than that, they're just guessing. They have no real clue. And that's not to shit on them. But pay attention. Those numbers are silly. And even if they were correct, this is going to change from year to year very, very much. And especially depending on what regulations are passed. They're assuming the regulations that they put forward are going to be something that are effective and positive and not choke off the industry. But as we've seen time and time again, that's not the case everywhere. And all right. And nothing. Where are we at with this? All right, first time in a long time I've been to this site. Let's see, introduce HTML. Let's go with the PDF. Let's state of New Mexico. Wait. So, I mean, really, it's probably just a bunch of definitions. Where does it end? Oh, it's actually got a shit ton of regulation to it. I forget how long ours is. I think this is like 80, right? 80 pages. Somebody look it up. Do it now. Let me see here. Colorado. Colorado Enforcement Division. God dang. Look at this. This is so bright. This red ass. Some blinding ass shit. Laws and regulations. Wait. Med rules. Because both medical marijuana and retail marijuana are on the same rules in Colorado now. All right, where are we at here? Holy shit, this can't be accurate. Hold on. Quiet. No, nobody look. 400. What? Wait, what? Am I just a complete... When did this get to 420 pages? It's legitimately 440. I think the thing is everything. I haven't looked at this since everything was combined. The thing that I just mentioned to you, medical and... But that wouldn't expand it more. It would be other rules and everything else that's been regulated combined into one. This has got to be it. And that's what's happened here. But holy shit. Yeah, so basically... I have no more comment on New Mexico's 200 page regulation for that. We'll follow that. I'm staying in touch with the homie in New Mexico, and yeah, we'll keep up on that. Little notice: FAA memo on marijuana emerges amid local airport controversy in Arizona. After receiving multiple inquiries about leasing airport land to businesses that grow marijuana, the FAA says doing so presents serious problems under federal law. The revelation came in a Little Notice 2019 memo that is now emerging at the center of local controversy as an Arizona town seeks to take advantage of the state's voter-approved legalization law. The FAA memo is creating complications in Springville, Arizona, where the town council rezoned former municipal airport land. Did I really lose my audio? There it is, right there. All right. It's weird. Every time we restart the computer, everything, like this thing is literally on 1 right now, the level. And it's where it should be. Which is not where it was the last time. Anyway, the crazy thing about this story is that somebody's trying to use airport land to grow cannabis on, which makes sense, but it's kind of come at bumping heads with the feds. What's interesting and crazy is that, and where I was going with this, God, please make some sense today, Mr. Martin. Other locations that have been owned by the feds are now being used as cannabis grows, like jails. They've had to go through a bunch of bullshit to do it and had to outright buy the property when it comes down to it. And that's been an issue. But yeah, I don't think an actual federal land being used to grow cannabis in a regulated industry in a state has ever been accomplished. But, you know, airport's a good place to start. Fantastic place to start, really, when it comes down to it. October 2019, communication to regional airport directors noted that the federal agency received several requests from airport sponsors regarding whether marijuana may be cultivated at federally obligated airports. I appreciate the gusto and the balls here. You know, the go and get 'em attitude that comes across. That's great, you know, challenging the man in authority. But, I mean, it's a face palm. It's a no-brainer of what the answer is going to be from the feds in this situation. I don't think this is the situation where you just do it and then ask for permission later or ask for forgiveness later. Probably involves spending a lot of time in federal prison in that situation, but you could try. It is requested guidance in these requests from council in order to have a consistent and nationwide position on the issue. So either activists just trying to push this forward and get an answer of whether or not they're allowed to grow weed, or negative side, activists trying to make it clear that you are not allowed to grow weed. Conservative activists, you're not allowed to grow weed on federal land, and an airport is included in that. You doofus, they would add. The primary purpose of cultivation operation is for commercial production and distribution of marijuana. The commercial marijuana distribution operations violate the Controlled Substance Act and constitutes a felony under federal law, the memo said. Consequently, a lease to cultivate marijuana for public distribution would also be unlawful, contrary to the public interest, and would subject the sponsor potential criminal liability as a participant or facilitator of illegal activity. But Springerville apparently didn't get the memo. What? I don't think I saw this part. They did not get the memo, as local officials gave the green light. Wait, you did what? Again, I appreciate the gusto here. I appreciate the attempt, but really, I mean, the federal level is not the place to challenge. You do not get away with shiz on the federal level. Poking the bear on the federal level to get laws changed and to expect some sort of leniency, it doesn't work out. The only way it works out is we're overcrowded as in America right now in the jails, and you may get out because you grew weed and it's a low priority crime, etc., and spend a portion of your time anyway. But don't count on that. And you're certainly going to spend a shitload of time on parole afterwards. Like at least 8 years, 5 to 10 years. This is not something you want to do. Challenge local level, not feds. So yes, local officials gave the green light to White Mountain Flower LLC for a lease agreement. Why would it... See, here's the thing, is like, you are being incredibly irresponsible to yourself and to your company leasing federal land that's owned by the feds. I don't know how or where there would be a sane lawyer counsel that would say this would be okay. And even though they got licensed locally to do it, like, bro, no. I can't imagine anybody in their right mind would think this was a good idea. The fact that White Mountain Flower did, and then the locals gave approval for it, like, is dumbfounding. That is head exploding dumbfounding. Mayor Philip Hansen Jr. also reportedly took a job with the company shortly after signing the agreement. Councilman Ruben Lamas similarly joined White Mountain Flower, though the town attorney said the local lawmaker was not aware of employment opportunities prior to his vote authorizing the lease. I mean, that doesn't really matter. It's like idiots. In any case, the town's decision caught the attention of the FAA, really, which sent a letter last month explaining that allowing the marijuana business to operate on airport property meant that Springerville was violating federal law and jeopardizing airport improvement program funding. The fact that they did not get raided by the feds and they were just sent a letter saying you're in violation. Again, after already saying, hey, dipshits, you can't do this on federal land. Like, I appreciate you asking, but here is the clear layout and rules and why you would be prosecuted. When they still went ahead and did it, and the FAA was like, yeah, you know, these dumbass stoners obviously didn't get it the first time. We're going to be a little patient here with them the second time. It's a very good thing they didn't get raided. Very, very good thing. I'm happy they didn't get raided. But the fact they didn't just goes to show maybe the ineptitude of the federal government, or I like to think better, how far we have come in this whole cannabis reform shiz. Information has been provided to this office alleging that the town of Springerville is allowing commercial marijuana grow activities to occur on airport property. Michael Williams, director of FAA's Phoenix Airport District Office, wrote in the letter. Specifically, information has been provided stating that the town is knowingly allowing and supporting commercial marijuana activities, allowing the grow operator to, number one, lease airport terminal space for administrative purposes. This is so funny to read, dude. It's such an egregious giving a shit of your personal freedom and flat out dumbassness. It doesn't make sense. It's funny. It's funny, but it's not funny. Vehicle parking on airport property is one thing they're concerned with. Vehicle parking on airport property. Storing equipment on airport property that is used for commercial grow operation. So you're leasing the airport terminal, and then the vehicles on the property. You're talking, that's the main concerns. But then also you're storing grow equipment for commercial grow operation. That's the third bullet we'll give you guys. If the above allegations are true, it appears that the town is knowingly allowing the use of federally obligated property in violation of federal grant assurances and the Controlled Substances Act. The letter continues. Violations of federal grant assurances can place the town there's a spelling error, obviously, from the feds. Amazing. Jeopardy to receive federal AIP funding. The FAA official attached a copy of the agency's 2019 memo and gave Springerville 30 days to submit a written explanation on how it intends to resolve these discrepancies. It's just like the approach from the FAA has been a matter of bookkeeping. It's like you're not in line. It's weird to see this not handled from a blast in your door type of way. It legitimately doesn't make any sense to me. It's like I'm reading an Onion article here that was poorly written and poorly made up. You have 30 days to explain to us how you plan to fix this. How about you just get everything the fuck off the land and any evidence that this ever happened and deny. Be like, we're not sure what happened here. There was a mix-up in the rules, and even though we granted them and there was this employment thing, it never happened on the federal land. You can go check, all right? The missing tapes, I have no clue what you're talking about. This plot of land over here looks brand new. I have airport improvement process. You said you wanted to see these improvements put into place in action. This is what we're doing. Why is there water damage all over this? While it's not necessarily an agency that is known for weighing in on cannabis policy, FAA did issue a separate advisory in 2019 clarifying that pilots who test positive for THC are disqualified from certain certifications, even if that's just a trace amount in CBD products or if they use marijuana in a state where it's legal. So basically, if you take CBD, is what they're explaining here, they probably had instances where the pilots were just taking CBD, were taking a shit ton of it, which I should say, by the way, in our CBD conversation, if you take a ton of CBD extract, because it is almost impossible to have it zero THC separated out, always going to be maybe always assume that there's going to be a small amount of THC in it, even if it's a very negligible amount, almost not measured. Remember, we're not the greatest at lab shiz with this crap. And then 2, depending on the person you are and your body makeup and how quickly it gets rid of things, how much it stores shiz, if you're taking a very high doses of CBD, that THC that's in that, even though it may not be getting you high over, because remember, it takes 30 to, and in my case, one time 50 days, 45 days to eject THC out of your system. It's building up over that time that you're taking it. Not just bouncing from your system immediately. And if you're taking enough of it, there's a good chance that it'll pop, and there's a good chance that you're going to clap that THC test too. I would almost bet that if you're taking CBD in 1,000 milligram doses every day, multiple times a day, that you're probably going to test positive for THC. It's going to happen. Be careful with that. Also, a disclaimer in my guidance. Nothing I say is guidance, okay? You should not be listening to me for anything other. You should not be listening to me, period. That's probably why nobody is listening. Oh, I hate myself so much. Why can't I just enjoy life? We go back to recording. My thoughts of like heading into today's show, which got scuttled by just my utter disdain for myself. We're to just go into shiz like it was a 2-hour recorded JDR. Start from brand new scratch. That is not even there. A good approach. If I could get past the fact that I'm like truly miserable for some reason, no reason, then we'll concentrate on that and it'll be good. It'll be fantastic. And you know, I thought for a second today, I was like, maybe there's some people that I'm so lost, and this is the ego. Like if there were people listening, they're like, oh, they get to know JDR and they get to know your personality, and they're like, you know, it kind of helps me to hear you talk about yourself sometimes. You know, it gets my shit out, and it makes me feel more comfortable that I'm not the only one. But no. Transportation Security Administration. I'm not going to say that. Never. Meanwhile, updated its rules in 2019 to reflect Congress's 2018 federal legalization of hemp, clarifying that hemp-derived CBD products may now be carried on planes in certain circumstances. As for marijuana, the agency has repeatedly said in recent years that the officers aren't specifically looking for cannabis or other drugs at security checkpoints, but they would be turned over to local law enforcement if they are found. In Colorado today, there is only a handful, and I'm talking about less than 10. It was like less than 5 documented cases of somebody being turned over for cannabis and then being punished for it at the airport here in Colorado at DIA. So, I mean, they don't give a shit about weed. I mean, you have to be a dick about it or intentionally something. You know, that's the times they're talking about that they documented. I know instances where the check-in bags, you know, had a bunch of weed jars in them, and then there's like the TSA, we check your bag, white piece of paper sitting on top of them. They don't care. Still though, I mean, I know people that are ballsy with that, and they fully take that and run with it, but I'm the type of person that, well, for me personally, there's no more pass go, collect $200. There is stop and go and go straight to jail. I have no more get out of jail free cards. So for someone like me, it is definitely a concern and something to think about. And I do not suggest violating federal law on any level, but I've seen people test that mamma jamma to even carrying plants in their backpack on planes, and it's worked out fantastically for them. No issues at all. I remember when we were doing JDR back in Edson's office, and Max Montrose, who now runs a education business on like psychedelics and stuff, travels the world getting high. Like that dude on Vice, the Pharmacopoeia show. I remember him walking through an airport with a plant in his backpack. I thought that was wild. And then here we are today. All right, the DA wants to know about applicants' hemp and CBD use, but only pre-legalization. Drug Enforcement Agency wants to know whether its prospective employers or contractors have used hemp, but only if they used it before December 20th, 2018. Why? Because that's when the 2018 Farm Bill we just talked about was signed into law, federally legalizing the crop and its derivatives. There's also going to be, I say heavy, but it it's probably going to be heavy changes to CBD coming soon and how it's regulated. Or really, the heavy change could be that basically it's just okay to be part of a supplement. That's basically going to be defined as a supplement, which I don't think really changes where it's at from now. But we could see more changes, and when that comes, I'll be very interested to read into that. So I'm interested to read the whole from cover to cover book on the changes with CBD when that regulation comes out. Finally, will it give us clarification? What is legal? What is not? In an updated drug questionnaire for would-be workers for the narcotics agency that was posted last week, DEA added the hemp note, signaling that it doesn't have a problem with workers who consume the non-intoxicating plant as long as their use is consistent with the legislative timeline. It's like such a government way of putting things. It's like lie up until this date. Agency also wants to know about any marijuana use, even if it was for medical purposes in accordance with the doctor's recommendation. With the exception of marijuana, do not include any instance in which the substance was prescribed, administered, or dispensed for you by a duly authorized physician for treatment of a legitimate medical condition. You know what's bullshit about this? So here's the thing, is this basis, and I would assume this comes from privacy rights and doctor-patient relationships. So they don't need to know any of that, and it's been fought and argued out that you don't need any of that before. So the feds came to this conclusion by having this argued in court. I can almost guarantee it. But see, here's the thing, is including with marijuana, or excluding marijuana from this is bullshit. Because this goes hand in hand in situations where it's medical marijuana authorized by a physician. It's covered by that. Marijuana, physician, doctor-patient relationship. Please include any CBD use if it's used before 12/20. I mean, I know people that have not used cannabis because, or don't use cannabis regularly because it's illegal federally. And that's strange to me. So I guess it's also strange to me, and does make a little bit of sense though, that people wouldn't use CBD before 12/20/2018 and then now do because it is technically federally legal. This kind of shit hurts my brain. This is the type of shit that it's just so dumb. This is the type of shit that makes me question really how smart we are as humans and how far we actually are in evolution. The real possibility that shitty information destroys us. We're still in that caveman period. And it could be, you know, like that. Say we were like some advanced civilization. No, I'm talking about like, I'm not talking about like the miscalculation of advanced quantum physics. I'm talking about caveman shit here, okay? Literal feelings regulating law and people's lives and freedoms. That's what I'm talking about here. It's a difference. The application of the DEA's drug use policy guidelines in conjunction with a case-by-case analysis will determine if an applicant's prior drug usage or activity will result in the applicant's non-selection for employment with the DEA. On my timeline on Facebook, I was getting employment reaching out, like, you can work for the DEA. I've got a picture of it. I'm not going to bring it up because I don't want to right now. That's going to take more effort than I want to put out right now. It's not enough reward for the effort right now. It does not pass the risk-reward equation. But yeah, I thought that was funny. I thought it was offensive. I reported it to Facebook as being offensive. Did we cover the questionnaire? When questionnaire says that the use of drugs and drug abuse by DEA employees and contractors is not tolerated. You think? Applicants for DEA employment and contractor personnel offered on DEA contracts must disclose their current and past drug usage and activity. DEA does give some leniency when it comes to marijuana use by its employees and contractors, generally speaking, admitting to illicit drugs within 10 years of this application submission will render an applicant ineligible, but for cannabis, that timeline is shortened to 3 years. So up until 3 years ago, you could lie. Just lie. Say you weren't using weed for the past 3 years. Earlier version, but be addicted to painkillers, no problem. Anxiety pills, not an issue. At least it won't disqualify you from employment. It's written by a doctor, prescription. That's excluded in their questionnaire. The earlier version of the form said more generally that there may be an exception for applicants who admit to limited youthful experimental use of marijuana. The updated questionnaire also includes a new section that explicitly asks applicants about prior prescription use for substances that weren't actually prescribed to the person. According to former Agricultural Secretary Sonny Perdue, DEA wasn't especially enthused about the legalization of hemp and CBD, and that influenced how the department developed rules for the crop. This minor application update could represent an example of a procedural complication DEA anticipated having to deal with due to the federal policy change. Oh, bummer. You had to deal with something that became fed. See, this is the bullshit I just hate reading in it. Like, I lose all motivation to give the story of the other side, like the DEA. Woe is me, changing rules, or I don't care. I don't give a shit what the cops think about legalization and reform of cannabis. I don't. And neither should you. You really shouldn't. Because you already know how they feel. You've heard it for the past 80 years, how they feel, okay? And them continuing to echo it is such a kink in the process and a hurdle to get over. It's legitimately criminal. The police are criminal with this, violating human rights. And they know it. And it becomes even more criminal as they continue to echo this bullshit. FBI also looking to change policy. Department of Defense and various military branches under it have issued several memos stipulating that service members are banned from using CBD despite its federal legalization. For example, the Navy has said that it prohibited the use of hemp products, including topicals and shampoos, because there's a risk the products are mislabeled and contain excess THC. I mean, there's something to that. There definitely is. We just said that. That's a fair assessment. Reaching a little over and protecting people beyond personal decisions, but I mean, it's the military. Don't you? I mean, you have different rights when you're a part of the military as a soldier, right? I mean, right? Is that no? That's got to be partly right and partly wrong. Who's all in here? We got Big Chris. I see. He's right here. And then my stream going on in the background. Yeah, I don't have any more news for today. It was definitely a light news day. Oh, shit. 16 minutes ago, we have a new story. New Mexico House Committee approved a comprehensive marijuana legalization bill on Monday. Legislation from Representative Javier Martinez is one of multiple legalization proposals that had been introduced. When is this? So it's passed the committee. Under the approved measure, adults 21 and older would be allowed to possess at least 2 ounces of cannabis and grow up to 6 plants. Also create a system of regulated cannabis sales. This is the one that was favored. Okay. It specifically uses tax revenue from marijuana sales to support reinvestments in communities. Wait, we'll go into that more tomorrow. I don't want to cover that story too much, because we already did it, and then we'll talk about it again tomorrow, and it'll probably be a lot of the same information. And then I'll try to get the man, Mr. Love, on the show. Also trying to wrangle Mr. Dunn, see when we get him. One just passed. Referred bill. Cool. We'll see what he's up to tomorrow, Mr. Love. Yeah, I think that's about it for today. Noon in the Mile High. All right, have a fantastic day, everybody. Stay warm. It's weird how it disappeared from my list over here on my knobs. Where the fuck is my volume? There it is. I just had to swipe up on the nice, wonderful, beautiful screen that is touchy. It is El Touche screen. I can just swipe. Like, I got 6. I wish I could just, like, I can't actually change the lineup of these in this setup right here. It's like automatic, dynamic, so that why that one disappeared. I added another source, so it pushed the one that was anyway. But it's really not that. I just swipe up and boom, it's right there, which is cool as shit. I love it. Let me trim my hair. I think it might do that. It's all long ass hair, greasy. Bike, you're the only one listening. I can't keep complaining to just you. I'm out. Y'all have a fantastic day. It's JDR. Whoa. Sorry. Why is this so much different here? Hold on. That's there. This is here. This is here. That's there. So weird. Everything is in literally the same, and nothing changed. Nothing. But it, for some reason, it gets louder. And so, I don't know. Whatever. Have a great day. Fantastic. Stay lit. See ya.